Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast, Sami Speaks. As always, I am your co-host, Jeff Borschowa, and I'm excited to have my dear friend, Sami Steigmann, with us today. Sami, what's new in New York?
Well, as a matter of fact, I just came this morning around 2 o'clock New York time from Pennsylvania, from Harrisburg. And I was at the military uh, ball. This was the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Marines. So I was very happy to be there.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
So how did you manage to get an invitation to such an exclusive event?
A friend of mine arranged for it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's through some of your volunteer work, and I know you're an honorary veteran. You've been adopted by the crew of, I'm sorry, what's the name of
The
the ship?
Intrepid. The
Intrepid.
Intrepid. Yes.
Huh?
Yes. And for the first time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to what do you call it? Because I have difficulty walking on the 11th. Okay, during the Veterans Day parade, I will be in a Humvee
Oh, wow.
for the first time.
Are they going to let you drive, Sami, or just as a
No,
passenger?
no, no driving.
I love that. Now, I feel like there's the birthplace of the Marines was somewhere near New York or in New York. I know that some of the history, but it's a little fuzzy. So is this a U.S. wide sort of celebration, or is it more focused
Yes,
in New
yes,
York?
it's the 250th anniversary. So I'm sure that everybody is going to honor it. Okay.
That's quite a milestone. So 250 years of
Yeah.
the Marines.
Yes.
Excellent.
And of the Navy itself, but specifically Marines.
Okay.
Okay.
So is it fair to say we're going to see some really cool photos? You're going to be taking pictures while you're there?
Well, it's already there.
Okay.
If you go on the Instagram or even on my Facebook, you will see a reel.
Oh, very cool. Well, we will share the link to that for our audience.
Right.
So what was the highlight? Who did you meet, or what stands out for you?
I met World War II veterans from the highest ranking, the commander of the Marines. At the same time, I think the oldest Marine is 104 years old. But you will see just a couple of pictures, and a number of them are also still serving. So it was very, very nice.
That's fantastic.
Right.
It's I love history, and I think you and I have had this conversation before. We either learn from it or we repeat it, and I personally rather learn from it. I think there's a lot we can learn from World War II and our veterans.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they're absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Well, let's take a tangent here, and I want to talk about the Intrepid for a moment. I know that you're one of their many, many wonderful volunteers. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what the Intrepid is and what you do there, and why should people visit the Intrepid? Why might they want to visit?
Well, the Intrepid is a legendary World War II aircraft carrier. Okay, fortunately, the aircraft carrier was not in Hawaii at Pearl Harbor in that particular fateful day, uh, December 7th. But interestingly enough, at the pier. Okay, there is the Intrepid. There is one of the two uh, nuclear submarines on display. There is the shuttle over there. So there is a lot to see. I am an exhibit explainer. At the same time, okay, the former crew members made me an honorary crew member. So I am marching with them. And uh, on November 11th, after the parade, at the museum, will be one of the former crew members that will read the names of the people that passed away this year. So it's a very big honor for me. Okay.
That is absolutely amazing. And I think, you know, we have November 11th in Canada. We set it aside as Remembrance Day. And I think one of the things we've tried to do in our household.
Wait a minute. In Canada, the Veterans Day is on the 10th, not on the 11th.
No, Canada, we celebrate November 11th. We call it Remembrance Day.
No, because I was there one time. I had to speak in Victoria several years ago.
Okay.
And I told them that maybe you can rearrange it. And they said no, because on the 10th, okay, is the Veterans Day. As a matter of fact, I had the privilege of laying the wreath with the highest, most decorated Jewish general, Canadian general.
Wow. Well, it might have been around the organizer schedule, but as a nation, we actually do celebrate. It's we call it Remembrance Day, and it coincides with most of the national events are on the 11th at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
So it coincides with
The US.
with the armistice that was signed on November 11th. So.
Okay.
Some places it gets a little weird here, Sami, and that's one of the weirdnesses of being Canadian. You might have provincial celebrations on different days, but federally we all recognize November 11th is Remembrance.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do a lot here. One of the traditions we have, and I have not noticed it in the US, but the poppies from Flanders Field. There's a famous Canadian poem about Flanders Field. So the Legion, which is kind of our veterans association here, it's where a lot of them participate. They sell little plastic poppies that people wear on their lapels to recognize our veterans.
As a matter of fact, I did have one. The number one, I used the jacket, okay, from the Intrepid when I was there.
Oh,
and
nice.
I also wore the poppy.
I love it. For some reason, we've made our poppies very stabby. They're not exactly friendly and safe. It's like a little straight pin that you stick into your shirt and you hope you don't stab yourself.
No, I had the jacket, so it did not reach the skin.
I've stabbed myself many a time with a poppy. Small price to pay, but yes. And I think it's so we try to have our children, and I think being Canadian, being part of the British Commonwealth, we try to educate our kids on why did World War I happen? Why did World War II happen? Why should we honor our veterans? And usually it's a day to watch for us. We try to watch the ceremonies that the Canadian government does, and we try to participate in some of the ceremonies that the British Crown has as well, because they do a lot for their veterans. So,
okay.
But I feel I must have been in the military in a past life, because both my wife and I, we want to make sure our kids understand the sacrifices people made, so that, you and I can sit here and talk about whatever we want to talk about, and we're relatively free to do so.
Yes.
So awesome. So how much time do you spend? I know you do a lot of volunteering, but how much time do you spend at the Intrepid?
I used to do it every Saturdays, 4 hours, but because I have difficulty walking, so right now somebody picks me up, and after okay, my duty tour then takes me to the subway. So twice a month,
Okay.
but only on Saturdays.
I find it very curious in a good way that in your spare time, your hobby is educating people and you spend the rest of your week educating people. It feels like you might be in love with the idea of educating. Is that a fair statement?
No, it is my mission. It is my life.
I love it. And people always say, well, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, I don't understand the question, right?
I don't have a hobby. It's my mission.
And let's talk about the mission. So how long have you been on this mission? Because I think this is actually really important background. So when did you wake up and decide this was your mission to educate people? Because you live it and breathe it.
In 2003. Then in 2008, I gave my first assignment to sixth graders. And one sixth grader, the whole students sent me thank you letters, but one sixth grader wrote, P.S. Your story was overwhelming, and I promise I'll pass your story to my children. So it made me realize that I have something very important that I must share, although I did not feel that I have a compelling story. But by speaking, that is also very liberating. A lot of people that go through a trauma, it's very important for them to speak. Like, for instance, the soldiers, another soldiers, the hostages that came back from Gaza. Uh, I was interviewed by NBC. It has not been posted yet, and they asked me what's my advice to them, and I said, based on my personal experience, they must talk. That is liberating. And you probably feel the same way because you also went through from one phase of life to another one, and that also compelled you to do what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, I can say from my personal life experience, and maybe my aha moment was when we try to hold things in and we try to not talk about them, that's when it becomes trauma. I think you said it well that suffering is universal, but choosing to suffer is a terrible choice.
No, I said victimhood.
Oh,
It's
victimhood.
Victimhood is optional. Nobody can make you a victim. You're the only one that can make you a victim.
I love that. And I think for me personally, I am also like you. I'm very, very much mission driven. I don't understand the distinction between work and hobby. Everything I do is about my mission, and I see that in you as well. And we'll talk about some of the ways your mission is starting to impact people. But for me, if we talk about things, we take the power away from those who would harm us, and we claim our power back. Is that a fair comment?
Yes, but the way I present it to the young people is different. I say when you choose a profession, make sure that you are passionate about it. And if you're passionate about it, work will be pleasure, pleasure will be work. And because I am passionate about what I do, 5 years ago, on an audio app which does not exist anymore, Clubhouse, I answered questions for 16 hours straight. Okay, and I answered questions. There was an audience coming in, going out, between 50 and 60,000 people from all over the world.
I love that. And I will say I'm impressed by you. You were probably one of the oldest Clubhouse users that I've met, and yet also the endurance of. I've done a couple of 16-hour events, and generally I wouldn't do them again just because 16 hours is a little beyond my comfort level, but. I do applaud that. I'm going to guess you just kept answering questions as long as they were coming. Is that fair?
No. The reason the reason is because the guy, my friend who opened up the room, he said, "Sami, I know you can go on, but I am tired. I'm closing the room." So I still had the energy to answer more questions. But
I love it.
okay, but 16 hours, I think it's a record because that was during the COVID, so a lot of people did not work. So I don't think that record will be broken.
I love that. And something tells me somewhere somebody's got a copy of that recording. But that's
Yes, yes, I believe it was on YouTube. I don't remember, but the NBC, okay, wrote an article about it. So, for instance, if you go on my website under the press, you will see an NBC article that I answered questions for 16 hours.
I love it. And honestly, it's I'm gonna take a couple things away from that. But from an educator, that's exciting that people had enough questions and they were interested, and also that enough. You said 50, 60,000 people. That tells me that there's more good on the world than most people recognize on a daily basis.
Correct.
And I think you and I have brought this up before. I'm personally an optimist, and I think you are as well. If people know better, they will do better. Is that a fair comment?
I phrase it differently. Okay, there is too much hate in this world, and we have to treat each person as an individual, not as a group. And I say we hate people because we don't know them. We don't know them because we hate them. So the only way that we can establish a friendship and have more love than hate is to speak to one another. And what's happening in this country, I don't know about Canada, people have forgotten how to disagree in a civil way.
I think that's a fair statement here as well. It's we've all forgotten that there's a middle ground in the middle there somewhere where more people tend to hang out than most would acknowledge.
Correct.
I love that. So let's talk about. So you did that first presentation with the sixth graders, and that quickly opened your eyes to what's possible. How many schools would you say roughly you've spoken at since then?
Have no idea because I spoke of, before COVID. I think almost every single day.
Wow.
Right now, it's not that much, and it's less. That was in person. And today, it's quite a few of them are podcasts and also on Zoom, not as many in-person presentations. And I would say roughly in a very short period of time, because I spoke so often into large groups, I would say that I reached about 300,000 people since 2008, in 17 years.
Wow. And it excites me to think that those hundreds of thousands of people know hundreds of thousands more. So I suspect your second or third degree impact has been significantly in the millions.
Correct. Now, for instance, there was an event with a friend of mine. He took me to the here in New York, Washington Square Park. speaking to Gen Z, Holocaust deniers, people from Middle East, and that received 2.8 million viewers. So I have reached a very large audience.
I love that. And
So,
I,
when I'm talking about that I reached 300,000 people, I am not talking about the ones that were on social media, like the one that you just mentioned that reached 2.8, okay, 2.1. I had other podcasts that reached hundreds of thousands of people. So I reached a very, very large audience.
I love that, and I can suspect that the movie that you were in, now that you're officially eligible to be part of the Screen Actors Guild, I'm guessing your reach is going to increase even more because of the movie.
I don't know about that. The only one that I know that saw the movie tell me that they love the movie. They're very happy to see me in it. So, but I normally don't talk about it anymore. But if somebody mentions it that they saw the movie, then yes.
I love it, and I will.
It's for me. It's another phase in my life. It's not something that I like to brag. I don't like to talk about myself. Basically, only when I give my presentations, then I'm very open, and then I talk about everything else. Otherwise, no big deal.
Well, I will say, and I love this, I suspect that you've touched Scarlett Johansson's life forever. And I think, honestly, knowing you, that probably matters more to you than the quote unquote fame of being up on the big screen, having that impact on people in real life.
Yes.
And I will point out, if anybody hasn't actually met Sami, and hopefully if you've watched this, you understand, you are truly one of those human beings. You believe in love over hate, and you live every moment of your life that way. Is that a fair comment?
Unfortunately, I would have to agree with you.
It's just one of those, I think when you and I first met, we were introduced by our dear friend Esther. And I think within minutes, my question was, how can I help you? And I think that's a genuine, you are a genuinely good person and you love helping people. I will say, as a side note, I love watching the look of joy when you talk about the kids that you've helped and reached.
And you also did something that I don't know if your audience knows it or not, but you put in a book form, okay, my website and my PowerPoint, and it is available on Amazon.
Awesome. And we will put a link to that.
Okay. And that is thanks to you, because I call myself MD. I'm not a doctor. I am media deficient, but you, okay, you put it together and you put it on Amazon. So thank you.
Well, and thank you for playing along on that one. And for anybody who's curious, I will share a link. That particular book I wrote, and it was meant to be a tool to help Sami get more speaking gigs.
But you did not change anything. You just took everything that was
Yep.
there, just combined it word by word, everything. Okay,
And
so, but at least it's on Amazon. So now I can say, besides being a Hollywood, not just an actor, a Hollywood movie actor, I can
Mhm.
also say that I'm a published author. But
Yep.
that's thanks to you.
And once this is part of the whole plan for this podcast, is the next book will be coming out of this. I don't know when. We're going to have to let the content settle, but there will be a book more about the man than about the mission. And I think, both are important. I would encourage people, if you visit Sami's website, if you read his book, this is the shameless publishing and promotion of you, Sami. Get Sami in to speak to your kids' at schools. I'm trying to get our local schools to bring him in. Unfortunately, we had a 3-week teacher strike, so nerves are a little raw in the educational community here, but hopefully in the new year, everybody calms down. My goal is to get Sami on a speaking tour of Alberta.
By the way, for your audience to know, I am paying you to promote me.
Paying me in goodwill and friendship.
Take a look how much. Take a look how much. Okay.
Sami and I are friends. If it doesn't show, rewind and watch, because I adore Sami. He's an incredible addition to my life. And really, that's the whole point of this podcast, is getting Sami some speaking engagements. And I don't know how it's going to happen yet, but my goal would be, at some point, you get to do a tour of Alberta. I will drive you from event to event and get you to speak at some of the schools, because we're seeing a lot of divisiveness. Our province has actually gone on this weird, we want to leave the country sort of rant. People need to learn how to disagree respectfully, and I think your message would be very powerful for a lot of these kids today, because I'm going to be honest, the adults who should be adulting aren't giving great examples to the next generation.
I agree.
So let's talk a little bit about what it looks like to have Sami come in and speak. So I want to highlight this, Sami, because I think what you do is so unique and so powerful. You're not one of those quote unquote motivational speakers that comes in, gets up on stage and lectures to the school and the kids are all bored and checked out. What does an event with Sami look like from your perspective? Because I love how you do this.
Well, I engage. I don't lecture. So I also, from my experience, I found out that, if you talk too long, okay, people get bored. So by engaging and by asking questions of a student or audience, like when I speak to employees of major organizations, the other people are interested in finding out what the answer is. So they are awake. They are not falling asleep. So everybody is engaged. So this is my forte. I like Zoom because you can reach people in different countries, but it's not as effective as being in person. Okay, for me, the Holocaust is only the background. I don't talk about the pain because everybody goes through trauma. It's part of life. And for that particular person, that particular trauma is extremely painful. So the most important thing for me is to learn from history, okay, and to see the signs of today that could lead to other tragedies and trying to prevent it. Yeah. And it's a very important, especially for young people, because once somebody is indoctrinated, it's almost impossible to bring them to critical thinking. I'll give you an example. I mentioned to you Washington Square Park, that I was there, and there was a Pakistani young woman. And she said that what's happening in Gaza is genocide. So no matter which way my friend and I tried to change the discussion, she maintained the same thing. So my friend said, by the way, I brought with me somebody that is a Holocaust survivor and a veteran of the IDF. Okay. She looked at me and she said, you are part of the problem. I lived in the States for 60 years. How am I part of the problem? But that is what indoctrination does to somebody, and that's why I start with very young people. I start with fourth graders. I even spoke to second graders, and this is before they are indoctrinated. Because after that, it's it's not easy.
And no offense to you as a pilot, Sami. I'm sure you were amazing back in the day, but something tells me the planes are a little different today than what you flew. Is that fair?
I did not fly. I worked on them.
Okay,
Yes.
there we go.
Okay.
But
I am not coordinated.
I actually had a friend who was a helicopter pilot, and he tried to convince me I should be one. And I got in the cockpit and I'm like, oh my God, this is claustrophobic. I need out. It was one of those little tiny
Right.
Search and rescue helicopters. And I'm like, nope, I would not fit in here because I'm literally.
Okay. Okay. So there is a simulator of a plane, the intruder. Okay. So I tried to do it. And there is also, for instance, a simulator that you can spin. And you not only you have to pilot the plane, okay, but also to shoot at the same time the enemy.
Yeah.
And every time I got on, okay, and I started to fly, I crashed. And I could not do at the same time to fly the plane and to shoot. So I'm not very coordinated. So.
I love that. Like, honestly, I wish I could be a pilot, but yeah, I don't know how they can think and blink and do all these other things simultaneously. It's beyond me. I can say that as well.
So I have a friend of mine. I don't know how to skate, to ski. So a friend of mine, she challenged me. She wants me, for me, I don't know to learn, but at least to try to skate. And I said, I cannot skate. I'm not coordinated. She says, don't worry about it. We'll make sure, okay, that you will not fall. Yeah. I volunteered with young Make-A-Wish kids. And one of the kids, the job was to do what the kids do. And they wanted me to rollerblade. And as I was trying to hold myself on the rail, my feet were constantly up. I couldn't stand straight. So a 10-year-old came to me. She said, I will push you. And she pushed me, and just keeping straight, okay, I was sweating, okay, and I fell one time, okay, but very high because with the rollerblades, and I fell, and I was laughing, and I said, okay, in 45 minutes, I fell only one time. Wonderful. But a few days later, for a couple of weeks, I felt the pain, not initially, but later I did. But at my age, I will try anything.
I love that.
So my friend made me promise that I will try to do it. And I said, fine, we'll see what happens. The worst thing can happen is that I'll break the skates.
I love that. And I think that's part of your energy. You literally, I mean, not to bring it back to the being on in the movie, but somebody said, hey, Sami, would you like to do this? Sure. Like you are literally, I love that about you. I know a lot of people, quite frankly, my age or older, and their default is no, or I don't want to try that. And yet for you, every time I talk to you, you've tried something new. I mean, I've never been in a Humvee, so you're doing things that we all should open our eyes to. Now, I want to come back to the indoctrination of things because I think that's a critical thing. If somebody has reached an age where they think they know something, their door is closed. They're not looking to learn new things. What age are you finding people are still receptive, but they're starting to get to the point where opinions are formed and it's harder to help them?
Middle school.
Okay.
Okay, so for instance, the hate groups like BDS, they succeeded in they started with the campuses, they succeeded. They went to high school, they succeeded, and right now they are targeting the middle school.
Okay. So, as a parent, I have a child still in middle school. So we're not past the danger zone. We got to, as parents, be diligent. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay. And I think it's
but to be honest with you, okay, we have a tendency to generalize.
yeah.
Okay, so not everybody in high school or in campus has been indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Okay, that has a lot to do with the parents, with the neighborhoods where they live. So there are many factors. Okay, but a lot of them have been indoctrinated. But in the ones that have been indoctrinated, it's almost impossible. Again, I'm repeating, to bring them back to critical thinking.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. And again, I don't want to generalize about any one person or any geography, but as a parent, we still need to recognize that our kids are vulnerable. And I'll give you an example. My youngest is about to turn 13. He's starting to look and act and talk like an adult, but I still know that he's vulnerable and he's still learning how to be. And I do love that he tends to look for the good in people, which can be a problem if you recognize that there are people out there that are deliberately targeting kids to indoctrinate them.
Well, there is one trick that I play with people when they ask me, because in a 45-minute session, you cannot talk about everything. But people ask me if I have a tattoo. Okay, so what I do, and I say yes. I pull up my sleeves,
Yeah.
and I say, it's right here.
Yeah. A little bit, if you could turn a little bit. There you go. Yep. There
Okay,
you go.
it's right here. And I say, it is faded to such extent that it's almost impossible to see, which is a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
And I tell them, what number or letter do you think you can see? Some of them don't see anything. Some of them, number one, a zero, an O, an N. And I tell them, okay, that I do not have a tattoo. They did not give it in labor camps. And they look at me puzzled. And I say, I'm playing the trick, okay, to be fully aware, okay, that not everybody that tells you things is telling you the truth. So you have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's a nice trick, okay, to be able to play. And you can see, the chuckle in their faces. Okay. I got you.
Well, and I think that's, believe it or not, Sami, over the course of our summer here, when my kids were out of school, one of the things we focused on in our family time was critical thinking. And I think if I can give them nothing else, if I can send them out into the world with some critical thinking, I think that's a huge advantage. And quite frankly, it's almost a necessity.
And with indoctrination, what it means to me, indoctrination, is that they use slogans instead of really finding out where the truth lies. Nobody has a monopoly on the truth. Nobody. And one of the things that I liked to do is I used to like to debate. Obviously, I grew up in a communist country. So if you were a communist, I was an anti-communist. If you were an anti-communist, I was a communist. But by debating with you, I had to learn from you your strong points to try to convince me, and then I used that one when somebody was on the other side. And by debating and learning from both sides, I was able to make an informed decision, and that's what I try to, uh, convey to the young people.
Yeah.
Okay, to listen to both sides, and once they make an informed decision, to fight like hell for whatever they believe.
I love that. I love that. Well, I want to be mindful of
It
oh,
has to be informed decision, not the slogan.
and I think one of the things I've noticed with indoctrination, and by the way, I can see it now from a distance, it's being closed to the other side of a conversation. I think I annoy people, and you probably do too. I can debate either side of a topic depending on, if you come at me and say this is the only truth, I just feel there's something in me that the devil's advocate comes out, and I feel the need to go the other side of it. And that tends to annoy people. But honestly, I think we all need to understand that everything is about the perspective. You mentioned, and I agree with this, everybody's trauma is unique to them, and that's what they see first is their trauma. It's hard to get somebody to see past their trauma to recognize your trauma. But if we can emulate and empathize with people, it's not about whose trauma is bigger or worse than the others. It's how can we as humans heal one another and move forward.
Let me tell you something. There is in LA, in one of the previous podcasts, I mentioned it, but there is the Museum of Tolerance, and there are two doors. One says I am prejudiced, the other one says I am not prejudiced. The ones that they go to the door and that says I am not prejudiced, to their amazement, they find out that the door is locked. So basically, we have to understand we are all prejudiced. We all have our issues. So it's not that you are prejudiced, it's how you deal with it. Okay. And this is a very, very good lesson, okay, for people to understand. And that's what's important. So it's we have different opinions, whatever it is. So you are entitled to have your opinions, but the question is, how do you deal with it? Are you willing to have a conversation? Are you willing to stick, uh, to be stuck with the slogan or whatever you believe? And so for me, it's to teach them to, okay, have a dialogue.
I love that. And I think if nothing else, I'd encourage people watching this to have those dialogues. If there's somebody that for some reason you dislike them because you don't know them, have a conversation, get to know them. And I do find it funny that hate can't survive awareness. Once you start to get to know somebody, whatever biases and prejudices you have don't hold up, because prejudices require ignorance to survive. It's the lack of knowledge of someone else or the lack of awareness. Now, I want to be mindful of your time and respect it. Thank you very much for hanging out with me again today, Sami. And any parting thoughts before we wrap up and I let you back to your day?
Well, I love those little conversations. Okay, it's because people, if they care, they can learn certain things. Okay, and I'm not trying to change anybody. All I'm trying to do is to show them a different perspective, and it's up to them to make the change if they have a different opinion than what I am saying or you are saying, and it's up to them. My goal is not to change anybody; it's just to show a different perspective.
I love that. And I really do appreciate you sharing your unique perspective with me. I think I can say with certainty my world's better for having known you. And thank you for being on the show with me yet another time.
Thank you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Sami.
Okay.